This video will step you through the final draft revision checklist that you have the option of turning in with your final draft. You'll see that I made it optional and for a small extra credit of 5 points where you turn in your exam. Where you turn in your paper. I've got the exam on my mind because it's part of the lessons for this week as well. To turn in the checklist, you're going to just link it in your Google document. I thought that seemed easier and maybe less confusing than turning in two links. I know that Canvas from the student's end may not easily show that you've put two links up there, so I came up with a slightly different way of asking students to turn in the checklist. And you'll see that where you turn in your final exam. I'm going to click here to open up this final revision checklist. It's going to look really familiar. It's pretty much the same with maybe just a couple of minor differences in this document versus what was in the document earlier in the drafting process. The required revision checklist that came in with the draft in the previous module. You'll see here that, like that draft, you are embedding comments using the comment function right here, and that you are going through the checks and the material. Most of this should be really direct and easy and straightforward, because at this point of turning it in, you will have already done this checklist with the draft, and also you will have gotten your feedback on the draft by the time you turn in the final draft. I want you to do the same thing that you did before, which is use the little checklist option where you click. Let me try this in the Google Doc here. For some reason, it's not working. Okay, so it's not working. So to indicate that you did something, just go through and highlight it. And in the color of your choice, you could go like this and make it gray or something. I usually use gray because then I can still see the words. Or if you go up to format, text, you can actually strike through. Sometimes that's nice looking because you can see your progress visually this way. So you could do strike through also. I'm going to just undo that. But go through here, use links as needed, use examples as needed, basically put together what's here. Again, most of it's already been done, but you'll put it together with the feedback that you've already had. The reason I'm scrolling down is because I want to just show you that there's a little list at the end that should be helpful as a summary of expectations. And then at the very end, I have a few additional examples that came up in the drafts that you can see here, where you can see what to do if you are citing an indirect source, like if you were writing and the source that you were including was actually writing about another source. It gets very nested if you think about things like being nested inside of each other. The other thing is I want to point out, this is at the bottom of the draft revision checklist as well. There's an example here of what a journal article looks like when it's written, and there's this little technical detail that gets missed a lot, and it's just a typing error. I don't think it's a big deal, but I am really trying to get my students to carefully edit everything. So I want to point out how when you have journals, they have a volume and an issue number. The volume number is in italics. APA also has these really weird capitalization rules where it's lowercase for the article itself, except for the first word of it. But then the journal itself is getting normal capitalization and is in italics. There's a review of in-text citations. Excuse me. And then some examples at the bottom as well, just with a review of how to include books. This one was a particular problem with students, so I wanted to make sure I reviewed it again. It's a source that I had in my list of topics when I gave students links. So if you're using something from the book Language Diversity in Academic Writing, you'll follow this example and you will just swap out, unless you are using the Aleem source, you'll swap out the author and their initials. The year will be the same. The title of the article will be different. The rest of it will be the same because it's the same editors and publisher, but the page numbers for whichever one chapter that you use from this book will be different. I have a few links at the end if you need them. That's the checklist. You'll see the directions for how to include it with your final draft, where you turn in the final draft. Thanks for watching.